Aoashi and Blue Lock are two very similar, yet very different sports anime. And since watching Aoashi and falling in love with it, I have always wanted... always? What the fuck am I on about? Well, I've wanted to compare it to Blue Lock. But don't worry, I'm not comparing it to Blue Lock's current state of the anime. I have read ahead in the manga, just so I have actual points to talk about and the ability to, you know, actually compare them. Because, well, I can't really compare one episode of Blue Lock, as of recording this, to 24 of Aoashi. So, what's the cop-out answer? Everybody's gonna have one. You know, I can't be asked to actually think, so here's my cop-out. Well, they're both good in their own right. They're both very good series. I have enjoyed reading Blue Lock and absolutely adored watching Aoashi, and they do have their own unique things that give them benefits over the other. But obviously that's a cop-out answer, and so my real answer is I think Aowashi's better, personally. But let's get into that. Why do I think Aowashi's better? Well, first of all, its story writing is just fucking genius. It's so well written. The characters are all so just enticing. They're all really good. I love how they interact with each other. The plot twists aren't predictable, and also the fact that the stakes are much, much lower in Aoashi compared to Blue Lock. Things that can happen within matches where, you know, it's a big match and, oh, if we lose, it's not going to be good. Whereas, you know, and they can actually lose that match. Whereas in Blue Lock, if there's a match where if you lose, well, you know the main character isn't going to lose because of how the story's set up. Which is my main gripe with Blue Lock, is the stakes are far, far too high for there to be any real, like, tension at particular moments. When there's, you know, a chance, when there's room, I should say, for, you know, failure, then the stakes feel high, and that's when the story's actually really intense, and reading it was at its most enjoyable. But then you get the moments where the main character literally cannot lose, because if they do, the story would just end, and, well, the stakes are thrown out the window, and it loses all semblance of tension. And also, there's one thing that Blue Lock has done more recently as to where I am. I'm around 90-something chapters in, that I didn't really like, that literally has just been like, yeah, let's, the concept, let's throw it away, but just for this one character, because they're one of the main cast, let's just throw away this concept. Maybe, I mean, obviously I haven't read ahead, so I don't know what's going on, but if you know, you know, and I might be wrong in saying that it's just for that one character, but I'll have to wait and see. Aside from that, let's talk about the main characters of Blue Lock and Aoashi, because they actually have very similar skills, and that is the, you know, the bird's eye view, God's eye view, the spatial awareness ability that Ashtor and, you know, this is really bad. The fact that I can't remember the Blue Lock main character's name. It'll come to me. It'll definitely come to me. Why the fuck can't, you know, I'm just gonna, hold on. I'm genuinely just gonna open the manga where I'm reading it and have a scroll through and see if I can find it. Isagi, there we are. Okay, I've got it. I didn't forget, I swear. So, Isagi and Ashtor have very similar abilities in that they can somewhat see into the future by, you know, being spatially aware, seeing the pitch from sort of a bird's eye view, and then being able to adapt accordingly, knowing how people are going to move or likely to move. And yeah, they're literally, they just have the exact same ability, but their usage of it is pretty different. While Ashtor is focused on trying to be a striker and not being locked into being a defender, and tries to use it to set up his own goals, he mainly uses it for the team, and it's much more versatile in its usage. Yes, Isagi can use his ability in a defensive sense, however, he is, like everyone in Blue Lock, a forward, and is obsessed with being the best forward, because if they aren't, then, well, they get kicked out, and then their career is over, and given that Isagi is our main character, well, that would end the story. Again, that's my main gripe with Blue Lock, is the stakes are far, far too high for there to be any real tension, which Aoashi, I feel, handles much better. The stakes are much lower, they're much more realistic stakes, so it feels like there is genuine tension, and matches could go either way. And but we'll gush about Aoashi a bit more in a bit. But yeah, I do think Ashtor is a better protagonist than Isagi. Isagi is your typical shonen protag that is just going to become the best. And to be fair, I should have mentioned this sooner. That is a very big difference between Aoashi and Blue Lock, is their target demographic. Blue Lock is a shonen. It is aimed toward the the 13, 14-year-olds that shonen is aimed towards, whereas Aoashi is a seinen, not a shonen. Meaning its age demographic, its target audience is, a bit older. Meaning that its story will be a bit more serious. It will be less of the, power fantasy-esque, the, oh, look at this cool shit that's happening all the time, bullshittery that tends to plague shonen stuff. Not that that isn't entertaining. I love my shonen, but it can be tropey and a drag, and, well, as I've said, with stakes and tension. But back onto the point of comparing Ashtor and Isagi. I do think, as I said, Ashtor is a better written protagonist. He's much more compelling, his development is just incredible, whereas Isagi is just, I get better. I become better forward. I will become better forward. And to be fair, it's not surprising that that's all of his development, because that's the entire premise of Blue Lock's story. So you could say that, hey, he's got perfect development given the setting he's in, but that doesn't mean it's good development in general in terms of story writing. His character has become a lot more selfish, which again is the point of the story, but Ashtor as a character is just so well written. The way he changes throughout the story and how he comes to terms with his position of he's not going to be a striker, he's not going to be a forward, he is useful elsewhere, his talents do not lie where he wants them to, and it's beautiful. And his interactions primarily with Hana, which is one thing I do think that, not necessarily because Hana's a female character, but something I feel like Blue Lock lacks is the, these deeper interpersonal connections and, these character interactions that Aoashi has that Blue Lock doesn't, primarily because of the setting of Blue Lock, that I think do hold Blue Lock back and elevate Aoashi to another height. It's very unfair to compare them, I know, because they are two very different stories at their core. But they're also both football anime with the main character who has extreme spatial awareness and wants to be a striker. So, if you ignore all the fluff and just focus on a little bit of it, it does kind of seem like they're pretty similar, like I said at the beginning. Yeah, but that's something I feel Aoashi has over Blue Lock, is its characters and story writing. Blue Lock does have its hype moments, but again, there are also those moments that are just held back by how high the stakes are. Although there was a twist that I did quite like, although I did predict it, I did enjoy it because it did feel like a genuine it could go either way. And so there was something there that I did quite like, and it's in reference to what I said earlier about throwing away the premise for one particular character. So it then took that twist and then made me a bit disappointed in it. But overall, these stories are both really good. And you could argue that the reason I liked Aoashi more is because I've experienced it in anime form. I've got music, I've got voice acting, it's all emotion. Whereas with Blue Lock, I've only read it. It's a different medium, so of course I can't compare them completely fairly. But I've also read a lot more of Blue Lock than I have seen Aowashi's story in the anime. I think. I'm not 100% sure. I don't really quite remember where Aoashi ends in the manga, because I haven't gone to pick it up yet, but I definitely will. But overall, yes, these stories are different, but they are comparable in certain ways, and that is why I think Aoashi is just fundamentally the better of the two. Obviously, if you love Blue Lock because you love your mindless sports action of, ooh, look, a goal scorer brr, then yeah, fair enough. Of course you're going to like Blue Lock, because again, it does fulfill that shonen itch with a sports series, but again, I also have my gripes with the story, its setting, the fact the stakes are too high, the fact that it just, as someone that has minor interest in football, it does kind of just go, football? Fuck it, nah, forwards, that's all that matters, yeah. And that's something, to say the least, that I don't quite like. But yeah, overall, my thoughts, they're both good in their own right, but Aoashi is just incredible and is better than Blue Lock. But like I said, that's just my opinion. Tell me yours in the comments below. If you disagree with me, obviously go ahead and do so. And if you agree, leave a like, tell me in the comments as well, and perhaps consider hitting the sub button for more, I was about to say more anime content, but this is pretty infrequent on the channel now. But if you like webtoons and the occasional anime stuff and the occasional discussion type video, then stick around, maybe consider hitting the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything I'm putting out. And with all that said, I've been Animosity, you've been you, and I hope to catch you all next time for another video. Ta-ta, for now.